welcome. Bienvenidos. I'm Trevor Williams with Global Atlanta, and we are excited to have you for today's Consular Conversation. We're putting a little twist on it today. This is what we're calling our trade edition. We've got the Trade Commissioner of Chile, Germán Rocca. I'll tell you a bit more about him in just a moment. First of all, I just wanted to thank our sponsor at Miller & Martin, and we did not test this on the front end, but I'm hoping that Joe Delisle is here and can turn his video on. Joe and Miller & Martin have been our sponsors of the Consular Conversation series, steadfast supporters even throughout this virtual transition that we've been doing over the last year or so. Since I think Joe, y'all have sponsored us since 2016. So they've been really instrumental in helping us get this off the ground and sustain it over time. Conversations with diplomats really every month we try to do. Joe, are you around? I hope you are.
I am. Can you hear me?
Right. Yes. Welcome, Joe. Thank you.
On my screen, I'm sitting right next to you. So.
All right. Cool.
I guess it's just all our own perspective. So
that's right.
Thank you very much, Trevor. It's a pleasure to be here, and definitely a pleasure to continue to host the Consular Conversations. And it has been a great relationship, and we've really enjoyed it. And we strongly look forward to getting back together. I'm a partner at Miller & Martin in our corporate and international practice groups. Miller & Martin is a law firm that is headquartered in Atlanta, Nashville, Chattanooga, and Charlotte, North Carolina. We're over 150 years old, full service law firm, and we're part of an international affiliation of law firms called the World Law Group, which is how we service our clients worldwide. And we have a partner firm in Chile, Rennecourt. I hope I pronounced that correctly, firm. So we do work with them cross borders and have some good friends there. And we really enjoyed this relationship with Trevor and everyone here, and it's a pleasure to see Germán Rocca with the Trade Commission to hear what he has to say today. So with that, we will look forward to hopefully hosting you in our offices soon. Things are relaxing day by day and week by week, and hopefully maybe by the end of the summer, we're all back together in person again. So thank you very much.
Yeah, we look forward to the food aspect in particular. So we really miss that, and just gathering and being able to do some kind of networking. And that's really what I wanted to bring up for this session. I mean, we usually get really deep on diplomatic discussions and things about politics and bilateral relations and all that. And we will maybe touch on some of that adjacently, but this one really we're going to focus heavily on business, trade, investment, those kinds of topics that Germán is so well versed in and can speak about with depth. And we're also really wanting this to be, you notice I haven't even asked you to turn your videos off yet. We really want this to be somewhat of a networking session in its own right. I'm not going to introduce everybody, of course, but at the same time, we want to build relationships through this. The idea, I think Germán has been building some ties in Atlanta with different institutions, different companies, and which we'll talk about. But the idea is to kind of pave the way for his next in-person visit, since we can now see the light at the end of the tunnel on those kind of things. I do want to ask Veronica. I don't know if Veronica, if you've made it on, and if you could turn your video on. But Veronica Medina is the representative of the state of Georgia in Santiago, Chile, and I just wanted to give her a brief moment to say hello and just tell us what she does for Georgia companies. The Georgia Department of Economic Development has offices, I think, in 12 countries, and really supports Georgia-based companies as they go overseas. And they are actually also a sponsor of Global Atlanta, so we really appreciate that. And Veronica, just introduce yourself and say hello.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Trevor. Good morning to everyone from very cloudy Santiago today. So we represent the state of Georgia. We have an office here, obviously, in Santiago. We also have an office in Lima, in Peru, and we also cover Argentina. So our main job is to help Georgia companies that obviously want to do business in these three countries. So we typically help them with extensive market research of their product or service in our market, so they can see what the competitive landscape is or the strategies to enter the markets. And then a lot of the other services that we do for them is partner searches. So if they're looking for a representative, a distributor, or end clients, our office provides that information to them. And apart from that, a lot of what we've been doing the past year has been setting up a lot of virtual business meetings with the local counterparts. We cover all economic sectors. We've been doing a broad range from industrial to medical technology, to technology as a whole, to ICT, also food products. So really any Georgia company that is interested in the markets, we can help them do business in here in the region.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'd forgotten that y'all do Argentina as well. That's pretty cool.
That's right. That's right.
So that's amazing. And I think at the end of this, you know, folks on the call will know whom to call. If you're an outbound Georgia company going overseas, then let the state know. If you're a Chilean company, of course, you're going to want to talk to Germán, and of course, Germán, I think, can help on the outbound side as well. We are, you know, kind of leaning into this whole virtual thing with the latest iterations of this series, because of course we have a large consular corps here in Atlanta with more than 70 countries represented, either through a consulate or a trade office or an honorary consulate. At the same time, we have a lot of countries that even if they have an honorary consulate, have a broader presence in places like Miami or Houston, or other cities around the South. So we thought, if we're going to have to be virtual, why not talk to the people who are based out of Atlanta but still have some interest in covering it? And that's where we find ourselves with Germán today. And I'm going to give a brief introduction to Germán, give you a little bit of a sense for who he is. He has a Bachelor's of Fine Arts from the University of Chile, an MBA from Adolfo Ibáñez University. In 2012, he co-founded Axioma Fintech Solutions, what he's calling Chile's first fintech company. I'm going to hold his feet to the fire on that, because that's a pretty strong designation there. But then he worked at Chile's Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, then moved to Australia to work for a major company called Crystal Lagoons, which I'll ask him to talk about too. And then in 2018, joined ProChile as the trade commissioner for the Southeast region of the US. So Germán, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Trevor and Leah. I see a couple of familiar names around the panel, so welcome everyone. Yeah, like Trevor said, I have a particularly different background. I studied arts, and then I went into business. And then I founded Axioma, the first Chilean company, actually, because back in 2012, there was nothing down there. And we were trying to convince people that was the way to go. It was very hard. The company is still working. They're providing services to non-banking financial institutions. We created an algorithm that basically balanced portfolios and basically read all the mutual funds in Chile, and we do this scrapping, and then we create some strategies according to 3 profiles. Very simple. Was very hard to explain that simplicity to everyone there, but it worked. So I'm very happy for that, but was a very rough beginning.
Yeah, well, that's your story and you're sticking to it. I like it. So, you know, what's great about the representation we have on this discussion, at least among the registrants, I can't see everyone, so I don't know who exactly is on the call just now, but speaking of fintech, we have some registrants from First Performance, which is a major Atlanta fintech company that's invested in Chile and operating there. But then we've also got people from the trade side or the manufacturing side. I'm seeing companies like Adage Water Technologies, which is based here in Metro Atlanta. We've got some folks from the Georgia Ports Authority that are registered. We even got some representation from the Miami-Dade County government. So I'm really excited just about the cross-section of people that we have here on the call today. And I know that you'll get a lot of good questions at the end. Wanted to remind people, do ask your questions, do put them in the chat function. We may experiment with having you ask verbally. I'm not sure yet. We'll kind of see how it goes. We've also got some representatives from Georgia Tech, Georgia State, University of Georgia, and Emory, especially the Emory Goizueta Business School, which has sponsored a lot of our Latin American events over time. So we really appreciate them as well. So yeah, just a great cross section. So why don't we jump into deeper into the conversation, you mentioned you're not the typical bureaucrat, right? A government, lifelong government servant. So how did you kind of move in and out of these government spheres, and what, when you were working in Australia, how the heck did you land here in the Southeast US?
Yeah, part of it was I was helping in between jobs, to be honest. I was working for the government. As you mentioned, I was working for this housing department.
Mm-hmm.
That was a program that was to, basically the focus of that program was to get involved with the city and to create a better living city. And it was a project that was really cool. And I was working in Axioma at that time as well. So it was kind of a part-time job, helping out. And then when I got recruited from Crystal Lagoons to move out to Australia to open their operation, that's a Chilean water technology company, which has operation all over the world, like 10 offices around the world, and over 300 lagoons in different stages. But I moved there, and I used to work with some people that used to work for ProChile back in the days. And we become very good friends, even though we didn't see each other that much, because I was in Australia, the other guy was in Thailand, the other guy was in Dubai. And then the government was looking for people who has experience abroad, and obviously about opening business overseas and having that kind of a mixed culture, business culture, and I don't know, in me, and
Right.
And that was how I get recruited. Firstly, my posting was Shanghai, so I don't know how I ended here. So it's better to be here, I guess. Nothing against Shanghai, but I'm in the same time zone than Chile, so that's more friendly for me. After being 4 years in Australia, which is at the other side of the world.
That's right. Well, you're talking to a guy who studied Chinese in school, so fellow Sinophile here. But tell us about the ProChile footprint here in the South. I mean, I think y'all just opened a new office in Houston, and I have to say, if I remember correctly, I have to say that y'all did have an Atlanta office. I'm sad to say, about 10 years ago, we had to write about it closing down, unfortunately. But potentially we'll recruit y'all once again. But just tell us about what the structure is like and the services that you offer.
I don't know if everyone is familiarized with ProChile, but ProChile basically is a trade agency of Chile, the promotion bureau that we have. It was created 46 years ago. We have 57 offices around the world, 16 in Chile, and basically we work with 2,000 companies. So 800 of those companies have connections with the US. And we create around 450,000 direct jobs, for example. So that's a very important agency for us. As you know, we are at the end of the world, and we created this agency almost 50 years ago because we had that need to connect with the world, and we have 26 or 27 now trade agreements with different countries. So basically, we can reach almost the total GDP of the world. So that help us grow the country in a significantly way. And the US for us, I don't know, the Southeast region for us is very important. And why we opened Houston, because we are very centralized in Chile. Viviana and everyone from Chile can notice that we're very keen on Santiago, everything is happening over there. But we, in this administration, we have a different approach, which is basically raise our heads and said, hey, we are in a region, not in a city. So we start looking the relevance of trade. So that Houston is the second port of entry for us. So that was the reason to open that offices over there. And we have a direct flight from Houston to Santiago as well. So, and there is a very relevant like Spanish or Latino heritage over there. So our products are very well received. Regarding the Atlanta office, I don't know why they closed it down, but I think it was kind of centralized. We have a limited budget. So basically the idea was to centralize every effort. Now we're going to be 5 people here working in the office. So we will be able to go more often to Georgia. In fact, for me, it's one of the prioritized states. So basically for me, it's Florida and Georgia. Now, that's why I went to 2019. I went to Georgia, and I met with Cesar, who is on the call. He was very. I didn't meet with him. We talked over the phone because he wasn't there, but he was very keen, very kind enough to introduce me a lot of people there. So I started navigating the city, and I met with John Woodward as well, with Julie, which is on the call, and we have a really good news to share with you guys as well.
Yes, I want to get into that in just a moment. But yeah, I mean, so far, tell us about the Chilean presence in Atlanta, or that you came across. I mean, what I have run across is mainly forestry companies, right? We've got Arauco, we've got SQM, we've got, and then we've got one major food company, right? AgroSuper, who is here as well. But what's the baseline of the Georgia-Chile engagement, and why do you see it as so strategic?
Yeah. You mentioned the big guys, in fact. So you have Sokimich, which is a really huge mining company. Arauco Forestry, a huge company, and AgroSuper is
and CMPC as well. CMPC, another forestry company.
And so you have the big guys over there, but for I think a logical reason. You're a hub. You're a logistic hub. So you're connected to it. Even though Arauco doesn't have their plant in Georgia, they are more nearby their plant, and there's a significant connections with your state, with the southeast region. We are in Miami. We are at the bottom of the peninsula, but that was one of the reasons why we opened the office over there in the beginning, because it was the logistic hub for us as a logical destination. But then if you consider the salmon entry, which go through Miami Airport, that was one of the key reasons to maintain the office here. So yeah, the relationship, we also have basically we are trying to connect or reconnect with Atlanta in general, with the city, because we need to start from the center, no? Right. So and our Chamber of Commerce there is very active, but yeah, we're trying to connect, and that's why we're creating links with Georgia Tech, for example, here. So
well, let's jump into that. What tell us? I think we're going to break some news here, but you just signed a new agreement with Georgia Tech, and I think with some of the folks that are on the call today. So tell us about that and what that entails and how that plays into this whole strategy.
Yeah, basically what we've done with Georgia, Julie, and I really appreciate her help and patience. She's on the, I know she's about to be, I guess. She's there. Hey, hello, good to see you. Yeah, it took a while because we had COVID in between, and it was kind of a difficult thing to move because the priorities changed from 2019 to 2020. But now we have this soft landing program for companies. In fact, Julie has been working with two companies from Chile now, Tucarga and also Twist Software, and we're very happy with this joint venture. And in fact, because we're trying to decentralize our mentality as Chileans, and trying to say, hey, something's going on in Atlanta, you have to go there. Don't be so centralized and don't stay on Santiago or in Miami or New York. They're always thinking about big cities. Atlanta is a big city for us. It's huge, compared to our cities. But our mentality is basically is programmed like that. So we are like, oh, we have to go to the big known cities, and it's like, no, you have to navigate different markets. The US is a tremendous market, and then every state is a country by itself. So you need to understand that, and that's why we create this link with Georgia Tech, and that's why we're sending companies over there, and they're very happy with the result, because of course they understand that, I don't know, they basically break the mold of, okay, Latino, Miami, Spanish. It's like, no, hey, in Atlanta you have some culture as well, which is very friendly with you. They're open to business, and it's not like a so saturated market like, I don't know, New York or Miami as well. And so for them, it's like a way to expedite their entry to the market, which is what we're looking for.
Yeah, well, it sounds like, I mean, you've got one thing I think is interesting about Chile is it's sort of like a bifurcated economy in a way. Like you have very heavy commodity exports like copper, and you got a lot of agriculture, You've got fisheries, things like that. But then you've also got these very highly sophisticated service offerings in banking and all kinds of services, legal and services sector. So how do you as an agency manage that kind of the difference in the types of companies that you're helping?
Good question. We are known for our commodity. That's our baseline, no? That's our economy grows, and that's it. But that basically that gave us the opportunity to create technologies and services around it, because we were, after this, let's say, 50 years of exports of existence of ProChile, we were sophisticating ourselves. So what happens, like obviously technology helps in that matter, and we are a country which is very well connected. You've been there, you've seen it with your own eyes. It's different than the other countries on the region. So banking is very sophisticated, technology, also connectivity, communications is over there. So that allows us to create services and technology around our own commodities. And what happened was, like, we start exporting that as services to the US. And in fact, the US is our largest destination for that. So that's why we're very keen on one thing, that using the Southeast region as an entry point for this kind of services. Why? Because of course the proximity with our country, but also we've been doing this soft landing program called Go Global as well in Miami. We started doing that in 2018. We're now in generation 3. But what happened is, like, we are able to export services in every matter. So it's like in video games, for example, we have a huge background on that one. And it is very unusual for a country like, I don't know, you should think about an Asian country more than a Chile, a South American country creating that kind of services. And this entry point using the Southeast region for us is very logical in order to I call this like going to the gym. It's like you're going to enter in a friendly way. You're not going to, because we understand that our companies, they're growing, but they need to understand how to operate in a market so deep and sophisticated, like in the US. So that you can go to the sharks right away to San Francisco, for example, for a technology.
Exactly.
You need to, go to the gym, understand the mentality, the culture, and how to do business, and to learn if your product fits, because most of the time your product fits on a market of the size of Chile, which is very, very small.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a different mentality to think about entering the global market versus just being limited to your 17 million or so. But I think that's what's great about Chile, and I've seen this with other small markets. I'll put that in quotation marks, but Ireland, Israel, other countries with small populations, that they end up being larger investors sometimes in Georgia and the Southeast, because they need to break into the U.S. market, and they need that entree that we can provide. So, and a lot of them, particularly in Brazil as well, we've had a lot of Brazilian companies come in. They find that once they build up their strength at the gym, they still want to stay here. It's not always that they end up going, or maybe they set up a separate office in Silicon Valley or something like that to be closer to financing opportunities. But even in that realm, Atlanta started to grow quite a bit. Capital used to be a big challenge, but now it doesn't seem to be anymore. So, but talk about Chile's, given that we're talking about services and technology, talk about Chile's innovation ecosystem. I mean, it's gathered a lot of accolades from around the world for the Startup Chile program. And I know at first it was kind of met with some skepticism, because you're kind of throwing a lot of money at unproven companies. I think it was at the beginning, it was about $40,000 that people were getting, and these were generally small companies that had promising technologies, but had not necessarily been proven. Yet it created this kind of sense that Chile was on the leading edge of innovation in the region. And I wanted to get your sense for that. I know you're a mentor in that. Has it achieved what it was supposed to do?
Yeah, it actually has. And in fact, this model was exported and we started selling Startup Chile to other countries, and it was a very successful model in different countries, in Africa, for example. So it's like, and what the idea of that program was to attract talent, because we knew that we didn't have it, and we need to learn from other experiences, even though there were small companies, and we were attracting crazy people, if you want to call it that way. It's like, okay, you're inviting people to this and you don't know how this experiment is going to work. But after 10 years now, it worked. And it's been creating lots of, basically created that program allows us to create our own ecosystem. And now we have our ecosystem in our own. So, and now we're exporting these technologies to companies, but created by ourselves, sharing with people from Israel, from, I don't know, you name it, from London, from, so that was something that we needed at that time because we are at the end of the world. So we are kind of isolated. It's not like you are in a European country, which you could travel for an hour or so. Right. You have people from another culture. We are basically at the end of the world. With Brazil, culturally, we don't have nothing common. It's like they have a language. They're a huge market. So we're more related to the east, to the West Coast, and that's why we have the Pacific Alliance Agreement, which allows us to work with Mexico, Colombia, and Peru, which are aligned in the way that we do business. So, so that I think was a really good program, and it has achieved what it was supposed to.
Yeah, and that's actually what took me down there initially, because it was around this time that Atlanta's fintech ecosystem was kind of waking up. I mean, Atlanta's always been a strong payments hub with major players in that sector, and but around 2015 was the time that it sort of shifted from being this background industry to one that everybody woke up and said, hey, we've got 30,000 people employed in the payment sector here. This is something that we should actually promote and start to sell around the world, like you said. And so I noticed that some alumni from Georgia Tech and from Emory and other places were actually going down there and starting to participate in Startup Chile. And I know that some of them have gotten Chilean residency. Some of them have stayed down there. Some of them are in Africa now. Like you don't know where this stuff's going to end up. But I think one thing that struck me in the reporting was that it wasn't just the Startup Chile program. It was all the ancillary things that developed around it.
Exactly.
That's the real benefit. You had long before WeWork, right? You had all these co-working spaces that were popping up. I visited some of those, and then you had groups like Endeavor that were setting up shop down there, and Y Combinator, and all these kind of accelerated programs thought, hey, we should probably be there too, because there's going to be this momentum. I mean, so where does it stand now? I mean, is it still in operation as it was? Or I know last time I checked, they had created sort of a scale program that was going to give more funding to the ones that had kind of proven their model. But
yeah, the program has been growing year by year. So in fact, I'm mentoring 2 companies there. So, and you can see the effect of the program on the companies. Now, these companies, they're raising capital, they're growing, they're exporting their services, and it's growing year by year. So it's really relevant, because what happens in fact, we have like 3 major agencies that collaborate in order to create an ecosystem, which is Corfo, Startup Chile, and then you have ProChile, which is the outbound tool, like the arm that basically allow them to export. So we have been working very in a synchronized way between the 3 of us. And in fact, Go Global, the program, the soft landing program, which happens in Mexico, Colombia, and Peru, and Miami, of course, it's a collaboration with Corfo. So basically, we're creating the ecosystem, we're taking care of it, we're allowing to grow, and then we are taking these companies out of the country, because we understand that the base of our economy, and that's one of the key things for us, is the reactivation of the economy. Is like 30% of the economy of Chile is based on exports. So imagine that we're creating direct, almost 500,000 jobs directly with ProChile only. I'm not talking about Corfo, for example. So people that are related to these programs, we are not subsidizing anyone. So there's companies that they live by themselves. So they're self-sufficient, they're growing, they're exporting. So it's quite an achievement for a country to do so and to keep it coming, and it's
for sure.
It's very, I like it so much.
Yeah, so I know that we have, I think Christina Morris is on the call, and Christina's been really integrating the Atlanta fintech ecosystem and is helping out with the Fintech South event that is coming up. And I wonder, just with that in view, how do you see economic development agencies helping out, or what kind of connections would be helpful for you? I know that, some of our giants really are already operating there. I know Equifax is there in Chile, and we've also got Crawford and Company, which is a big insurance claims adjuster. I mean, they've been operating in Chile for 30 years and really wrote a lot of the claims for the earthquake in 2010. I think the majority of the claims came through this Atlanta-based company. So already a lot of strong connections, but like, what would be helpful for you? I mean, do you think Chile should have a presence at Fintech South, or what?
I was like now 2019. I was applying for it, and then
cool.
We wanted to participate in 2020, so and we couldn't do it. And in fact, we opened the call for companies in Chile, and we had an agreement to take like 4 companies paid by us in order to explore that event. Yeah. Because we, as I mentioned before, we're trying to basically enlarge the exports of services. So, and we have the capability to do so. And I thought that Fintech South was a key event for us to be there. In fact, I invited in that time, the president of the Association of Fintech in Chile, Fintech Chile, and they have 50 companies as members. They're, I don't know, driving policy, changing policies over there in order to facilitate and expedite the growth of companies. So I think for us, it's key to be involved in the next event of the Fintech South. I will promote it again, because to get into that with our companies.
Yeah, well, maybe we can help connect you with them, because I know that one of the great things about going virtual that they're doing again this year is that they can have participation from these other ecosystems around the world with a lot less of an investment, right? Like, you don't have to get on a plane and fly halfway across the world to present yourself to a local audience. I wonder about what's fundraising like in Chile in terms of startup funding? I mean, I haven't seen, as far as I know, any Chilean unicorns yet. Meanwhile, in Brazil, there's 17, right?
Yeah, when you mentioned that, you know that Crystal Lagoons is the first Chilean unicorn.
Okay, so on their website, they kind of position themselves as a Miami-based or US-based company. So you know what's in the background, though, right? Yeah,
it's a long story, but long story short, the Boston Consulting Group, they valued that company $2 billion in 2014, if I'm not wrong. And they are growing, and they're growing fast, and it's very unknown because everyone thinks that company is a real estate company because they create these lagoons. But the thing is, like, the outcome is the lagoon. The technology is what it basically made them a unicorn. So it's a patent. Basically, you are licensing their technology, and the outcome is that blue lagoon. But but one of the things. But raising capital in Chile is very hard compared to other countries. You can see the tendency with Colombia or Mexico, which they have. I don't know, in VC funds, they have over $1 billion now. Right. And Chile is not surpassing the $100 million. So it's very difficult to us. I think even though we are pushing and we're creating an ecosystem, the investors are not yet convinced. They're more traditional. And in fact, you can see funds coming from other countries, from like Mexico, for example, to go and search for, to get those companies invested. And they take them out from Chile, but their funding, the funds are not Chilean. So it's kind of we have.
Is it a cultural thing? Like, is it just a more conservative financing environment in general?
Yeah, I think it's both. It's cultural, and it's like they're more traditional in investing. Now they see these corner shops. Now they see Notco. Now they see, but no one is like, if you're proposing an idea there, it's kind of a hard to convince a VC to invest in you. But we are moving in a good direction, but it will take a little bit of time.
Yeah, well, we've talked a lot about services, and I want to remind everybody that the questions are open. So please do throw your questions in there for Germán if you want, even comments if you'd like. But we talked again a lot about services, and some of the Georgia companies that I've seen very active in Chile are either in products, like physical products, or products that can be augmented by services or need to be serviced in a power production plant, water plant, some of these kind of heavier things that we haven't really talked about yet. So, and I know that, obviously mining is a big industry. You have Expo Mean every year. So, and then we haven't even talked about agriculture. And I know if our Georgia Ports friends are on the call, they've been really active in South America because of the off-season complementarity of the fruits and vegetables that are grown down there. So can you talk just a little bit about what you do on the physical goods and agriculture side and what opportunities you might see there?
No, for us, agriculture is huge. It's, we are, as you know, we are the largest exporter of blueberries, for example, grapes, apples. 50% of the apples imported to the United States are from Chile, for example.
Wow.
Then if you want another like cool data is like salmon, the salmon cooked or prepared in Disney World is from Chile, all of it. So, grapes as well. For us, it's a huge industry. We are supplying now blueberries now very heavily. We're with Mexico into the United States, for example. So in general terms, they're the base of our economy. So what can I tell you? It's like we're growing, we're sophisticating our production in every way. So mining.
Do you see opportunities for ag equipment providers or food packaging, those kinds of sectors? Because that is a real big sector in Georgia that not many people talk about enough. I mean, everybody knows that agriculture in Georgia is our quote unquote biggest industry when you talk about certain measures, but all the ancillary services, again, all the equipment and the food packaging and things like that, those things are less visible, right? And but
and less sexy,
equally important. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, do y'all welcome those kinds of things as you're upgrading your production base? I mean, I would assume that there are a lot of opportunities there.
Like I said before, what we have is, like in the case of Chile, we've created a lot of technologies around it, for example. So we are exporting those technologies. So we have that's one of the services that we're providing as well. So that kind of that's another sector that we are promoting because we're trying to we are economy based on commodities, but we have this other face. So we're promoting that as an agency and creating the connections. Now with solar panels, for example, we're huge on that now and we are creating links between. Someone is raising hand.
Yeah, it's okay. Keep going. I'll bring her in just a second. You're still talking about solar.
So imagine that we are creating lots of solar fields in Chile, and we have our engineers are the ones installing all of those panels for large energy companies from overseas. So it's like those kind of capabilities, we have them, and it's part of our exports now.
Yeah, for sure. So we got a few cool comments here. One from Max. He says Corner Shop was valuated at almost $1 billion, but were bought by Uber. That's kind of cool. And then you mentioned Notco, which is the alternative to milk and I guess it's nut milks and other kind of stuff. But I think they're trying to make a bigger splash in the U.S. They've started with the not milk product, but then I think you're going to go into.
They have not everything.
yeah, not something. And then Max also mentions a lot of Chilean startups getting traction in the U.S. and VC investments here. Judd mentioned citrus imports, so I guess you'll do lemons and stuff too. I know lemons are big in Argentina, but I didn't know as much about Chile. But I know y'all are doing some interesting stuff in the desert, right? Using technology to grow some crops in the deserts. And
Veronica is raising her hand.
Yeah. So Veronica, come on, tell us a bit more about what Georgia companies are doing.
Just very quick to kind of on 2 points that Germán mentioned. Just a few weeks ago, we participated in the Chile Fintech Forum, a 3-day event, as Germán was mentioning, working with Fintech Chile. There was over 2,500 participants in that event. So it was very successful. It was the first one that they've had here. We connected mostly with Angel Sierra Germán, the general manager. So a lot of the startups or, fintech companies, or not just startups, but scale ups that we saw from the region, they're always looking to the US. So they start in the region and then their next stop is the US. So I think there's lots to do from here to there. But as you mentioned in the beginning, Trevor, our focus is helping Georgia companies to come to the country, to Chile in this particular case. And
Sure.
you just mentioned agriculture. So I just wanted to let you know that with agriculture, we've been helping several Georgia companies that are in the probiotic space. As Germán mentioned, agriculture is very big in Chile, in fruits and salmon. We are world exporters. So some of your probiotic companies from Georgia are trying to get into that space in order to get away from the antibiotics. So that's been going quite well. Those are just two things that I wanted to mention.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, what I love about these conversations is that it opens up so many potential avenues for collaboration and discussion. But I don't know, Cesar, if you're on, I know that you took a delegation down there that was kind of focused on fintech. If you wanted to say anything about that, you'd be welcome. And again, we're not going to fill this whole hour. If people are not asking questions, we're not going to keep you on for no reason. But I did want to offer Cesar the opportunity, since Veronica got to say her piece. I wanted to. Cesar,
yeah, I'm here. Good morning, everybody, and
hey, man.
It's good to see so many familiar faces. Germán, it's good to see you, Veronica, and I think back in 2018 when I was with the Invest Atlanta, we took an exploratory mission with the team. Veronica, we met with her and others to really figure out a way to connect the regions. There's definitely a lot of synergies around the fintech industry, and we spent a lot of time meeting with Corfo, with Startup Chile, with some universities to try to make that connection. And actually, I switched roles, joined the Office of International Affairs. Germán and I connected, and we hosted a fintech webinar with some of our local partners here to introduce the ecosystem to the Chilean startups. And I think, it was a really well-attended event. I mean, to your point, and this is being said already, but there's definitely a lot of synergies because of just Chile's sort of open banking economy, the way that Chile is set up, a lot of opportunities for us to work together as it relates to these industries. And of course, I mean, we are physically connected. We have a direct flight to Santiago, which is just, I mean, you leave here at night, you're there in the morning, you can do what you have to do and come back over here. So, and then of course, having Veronica and her team in town is just a big help. So yeah, we look forward to continue working with you, Germán, with Veronica, with the teams to, I'm so happy to hear that this partnership with Georgia Tech has come to fruition, because this is how we get this going, really. And there's that notion from Latin America that if you're a startup, if you're a company, you got to go to Miami, you got to go to all these other markets. But the truth is that once you look at the numbers, this is the best place to be. I mean, there's just no place like Atlanta, like Georgia. Cost of living, cost of doing business, connectivity, talent, and of course, you got great people like the people attending this panel today. So yeah, really happy to see what's happening here, and I look forward to continue to see this partnership grow. Thank you.
Good. No problem, Cesar. I wanted to mention too, Delta and LATAM Airlines, right? Like that's a pretty strong Atlanta Chile collaboration there.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on all the approvals to come in, but once that joint venture is approved, or I guess it's more than a joint venture at this point, that'll be a real strong reinforcement of the relationship. And I wanted to ask you about that, Germán. What about tourism? You've got vineyards, you've got wineries, you've got amazing, beautiful cities. You got the Patagonia. Like, come on. What about tourism as an export?
Yeah, we're now we have our borders closed due to COVID. So
Yeah.
I think it's
Well,
kind
we're
of
going to be ready to go soon, though. As soon as it opens up, I'll be ready to get down there
In
again.
fact, there is a couple. You know that our vaccination rate is one of the highest on the world. So that's why we closed the borders in order to make that plan happen. You know, to be active, fully immune to everyone, to get fully immune everyone. And it's been it's kind of sad. The tourism industry now is like we are pushing for the, like you said, when the doors open, we need to be ready. There is a couple of promotions that we are doing actually, and facilitating those entrepreneurs related to tourism that they've been affected for the pandemic. So it's one of the key things that the government is doing, applying for giving them support and also creating plans of promotion. One of the missions that we got as ProChile is also the tourism promotion as a destination. And like you mentioned, it's a part of our economy. We're very well known for the vineyards, also for the Torres del Paine, the Patagonia, and then you have the desert. And so we are promoting that very heavily. And there's a couple of campaigns coming up in order to be ready where we open the borders.
Perfect. Well, we had one comment come in from Henry Yu, who's a well-known banker here in Atlanta. He said, hey, maybe we need to take a Georgia FinTech delegation. It sounds like some of that's already kind of in the works, and he says he'd be happy to help and love Santiago. And then we've got one question from someone that says lithium imports, ? And I'm assuming, I'm going to broaden that question. I mean, obviously, Chile's got minerals and lots of materials that we need, right? So have you seen broader interest now? I mean, I know you sell a lot to China, right? Like China's your biggest trading partner pretty much because of copper.
That's it.
But do you see more interest from the US as we go into more electric vehicles and you see, I don't know if you'll have rare earths.
We had Elon Musk visiting Chile at the end of 2019 because of the same reason.
Yeah.
I understand he visited some of the lithium mining sites, and they joined. They have a meeting with the SQM, which is Sokimichi, one of the companies that you have based in Atlanta, and it's the largest producer of lithium in the world. So we are seeing more of that, and that's good for us because copper, as you said, is our product, you know, and the Chinese are now buying everything with the reactivation that they're having in their economy. In fact, we have basically the highest price of copper in our history. So it's above $4 an ounce, announced a pound, and but we're seeing a lot of that having traction, and it's good for us. We call it green mining, and in fact, it's kind of a way to add value to our mining because we are pushing the direction of electric vehicles, smart cities, and created all that basically sustainable mining as well.
Yeah, and I know that Georgia has really put a heavy priority on electric vehicle production. As you know, we've got the big Korean battery plant owned by SK Innovation that's, fingers crossed, going to get up to full capacity pretty soon. And that's been kind of the anchor point for a lot of discussions around suppliers and supplies of the necessary materials and minerals. So great discussion. Unless anybody has any questions, I'm going to close it up, but I really appreciate everybody being involved. I did see that we got our folks from First Performance, the Atlanta fintech firm that's doing some operation down in Chile. So thank y'all for coming, and thank y'all for just a great discussion. I'm glad we got some people to kind of jump in and weren't afraid to get on camera here. That was kind of cool. That's a kind of an experiment. We've not really done that before. Usually we're a little concerned about ceding the microphone to others on these kinds of calls, but I think today our discussion proves that there's a lot of potential for collaboration, and I hope that we've set the stage for Germán to visit us in person pretty soon. And
we do that again, and now that we have this agreement with Julie, which we are really happy. We were pushing to send more and more companies in that direction. So in fact, what Henry said, we can help him with Julie, I guess, when they open the borders, we can do that delegation. We can send that delegation to Chile with no problem. and to
Definitely.
coordinate an agenda over there. That will be a really good thing to continue what CESA did in 2018. So that's how basically we create this connection with Houston as well. The mayor went to Chile, meet with everyone over there. So we create that kind of a diplomat instance, but then we took it to a commercial level. And I think that's where, when everything basically get settled and start working, properly, because from intentions you go to actions, and I think action is it's been taken with GT, so it's really good.
And I would assume that means, since we've got some other institutions on the call, like Emory and UGA, maybe even Georgia State, I would assume that means you're open to further talks with other universities as well.
Yeah, of course. We're open. We're open for business, and we have several companies. So, and this is not like one size fits all, and they need to understand who will be their better partners. That's how we presented it. Like, you need to understand why you have to go to Tampa, or you have to go to San Antonio, you have to go to Atlanta, because we are offering a different thing. It's not like you're not meant to be in New York, for example. We're meant to open their eyes, because sometimes they're kind of blind or obsessed more than blind, And because it's like an entrepreneur is a dreamer, and they want to achieve big things, but you need to, like Bill Murray said, baby steps, you don't get chances. And that's how you do it in this market, which is huge. And so they need to understand that it's not the same thing that doing business down there.
Yeah, well, we will certainly drop your contact info into the email that we send out to all the registrants, if you don't mind, and hopefully that'll spur some contacts and collaborations. And I mean, you're really underscoring our thesis with some of the things we've been doing on Latin America, is that we've got a lot to offer. There's already kind of a cultural community. There's already these connections through the nonstop flights. I mean, there's really, even though the cultural angle is not as explicit or not as visible as it may be in Miami, I mean, there's still a critical mass, and there's a lot. The consulates here. There's just so much happening that could be leveraged better. And I think Cesar and his team and those at the chamber and other those at the state, Veronica, are going to be promoting those things. So we thank y'all so much for your participation, and look out for another email from us. Germán, hope to see you again soon.
Thank you for having me, and thank you everyone for attending and being here with us. And Julie, again, thank you for your support. Veronica as well. Anything that you need from us, let us know, and please feel free to connect with me at any time. So any crazy idea that you got is going to be well received. Don't worry.
All right, sounds good. Thank y'all so much. See you soon. Bye.